Well, hello, my dear artist friends. Today I have a treat for you. I am going to help you properly price your artworks. And I have a simple formula that makes it super easy for you. Most artists are pricing their work wrong. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 mistakes that artists make when pricing their work. And then I'm going to guide you through the formula that I use to price art that I've been using for over 20 years. But before I get started, I want to ask you, will you hit the subscribe button, please? Because I want you to be a subscriber. And it helps people find my videos. And hey, it's a free way of saying, thanks, Maria, for giving me all this info. If you're not sure how much to charge for your art, by the end of this video, you're going to have a lot of answers. When I first got into the business of selling art, I'll tell you, pricing it was very difficult. And I'm going to admit, when it comes to pricing new things that we haven't done before, it's still a little tricky, but I always go back to a very standard formula. So listen to the end. And I want to invite you to have a pen and a paper so that you can do a little brainstorming while you're listening, because you're going to want to take notes. I've gotten so good at pricing art that now when somebody asks me, hey, Maria, how much would it cost for me to have a 24-inch by 36-inch canvas commission painting? I can just rattle it right off my tongue. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to hem and haw. And this gives me a lot of confidence. And that's what having a formula does for you. It gives you so much confidence in pricing your work that it's easier for you to sell it and get paid for it. Okay, here's 3 things you should never do when pricing your art. And these are the mistakes that I see the new artists that join my mastermind. And the one thing a lot of them do is they price their art with their emotion. And what I mean by that is they're pricing it based on how much they love it or how much they don't love it. And that is a huge mistake, because that confuses your potential buyers. And a confused buyer is someone who doesn't buy at all. Now, the second thing is using weird random numbers like $2,324. What is that? That's going to confuse your buyer. So if you're charging $2,432, why don't you just round it up to $2,500, okay? Or round it down to $2,300. But don't play games with numbers, because especially when you get into the higher priced items, people who are spending a lot of money on art, like $10,000, $20,000, never price the art with weird numbers. Just round up or round down. And then number 3, never price your paintings based on the amount of time that it took you. Why? Well, because your prices should be based upon size. That's what collectors get. So now I'm going to go into how to price your art, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a formula. So grab a pen and paper, because you're going to get a lot out of this. Number 1, you want to create a pricing structure that makes sense. One easy way to do it is pricing it by the square inch. For example, a lot of oil painters that have been selling their art for a long time, like the average per square inch price is $6. Or you can price it by size. For example, you have a price for an 18 by 24, you have a price for a 24 by 36, and you have a price for a 36 by 48. That's just an example. Now, let's say you're pricing by the square inch. How do you do that formula? It's pretty basic, but for those of you who don't love math, here's what you do. You take the length by the width and you multiply it. So for example, an 18-inch by 24-inch print, you multiply 18 times 24, and you get 432. Now, if you're pricing by the square inch, let's say you're pricing $6 per square inch, you're going to do 432 square inches times $6, which works out to be $2,592. So you could round that up to 2,600 or round it down to 2,500. That's a general idea. We actually don't charge that much for Drew's art, but Drew's not an oil painter. He paints using Posca paint pens for most of his prints, most of his paintings, and the medium does make a difference as to how much you can charge. So this takes me to number 2, and that is don't overcharge if you're new. Like, if you're just starting out, don't try to get the same prices as an artist who's been selling for 20 years. Because seriously, it's just, you're not there yet. You have to get there. Your experience, your technique, your talent, all that stuff. And especially if you haven't sold art yet. So let's go to, that's my next tip. If you have never sold art before and you have no idea where to start, you know $6 a square inch is just way too much for where you are at right now because you haven't even sold one painting. And let's say you've only been painting for a couple years and you just now decided to take it seriously. Here's what you do. You look for artists that are in a similar theme as you, a similar talent level as you, and you use, and they're selling, use their prices as a guide. Look, there's tens of thousands, there's over 1 million artists in the United States alone who are selling art. And so there's a lot of examples you can kind of bounce off of, okay? And hey, if you really just have no idea where to start, just pick a random number out of the air, okay? Let's just say $1 per square inch. So a 18-inch by 24-inch would be $432 rounded up to 500 or rounded down to 400. And for somebody who's brand new, and let's say you're painting with acrylics, that's fine. Look, it doesn't matter. Just get started. Like, don't obsess over your pricing. Okay, and then the last thing I want to say is it's okay to change your prices as time goes on. Now, how do you know it's time to change your prices? Well, number one, if you are just selling like crazy and you're running out of inventory or you can't keep up with the commissions, you need to raise your prices quite significantly and you need to do it yesterday. Now, let's say you've never sold a piece of art and you've had it available and you've been doing shows and you just get this feeling you're overcharging for your market, for where you are today. It's okay to pull your prices back a little bit, okay? Most people will not notice, probably, I mean, nobody's bought from you, so nobody will notice. Experiment. Keep making adjustments until you find your sweet spot. Look, the bottom line is don't let pricing intimidate you. Just don't let it slow you down. Just experiment with it, work on it, fine tune it, do the best you can. And hey, click the subscribe button. Leave me a comment. Was this helpful for you? I love getting your comments. I respond to every single one. And hey, while you're down there, click the link to my mastermind. I have a special for this month only, to get a 7-day free trial. So hit that button and I'll see you next time. Love ya. Mean it.